The Travel Show, your essential guide wherever you're heading, every weekend on BBC World News.
This is BBC World News. I'm Matthew Emery-Waller. The first charter flight out of Afghanistan takes off from Kabul. Some 200 people, including American citizens, are on board that first charter flight since US forces withdrew. The Taliban continue to crack down on protesters, with claims journalists have been beaten as they covered demonstrations. Britain says it could push back migrant boats trying to cross the English Channel. French officials have described the tactic as dangerous and illegal. And we report from Guantanamo Bay, where the last 39 suspects detained in the wake of 9/11 are still awaiting their fate. Hello and welcome to BBC World News. The first charter flight with 200 American and other foreign nationals has taken off from Kabul. There had been growing frustration that the Taliban were blocking charter flights out since the withdrawal of US troops. Well, let me just show you the pictures of the airliner understood to be operated by Qatar taking off late on Thursday. Qatar has been helping the Taliban restore the airport to operations. It says it's now about 90% ready, and there will be a regular scheduled flight on Friday. We'll have more on that in just a second, but elsewhere in Afghanistan, let me just take you through the major events, because there have been reports the Taliban have arrested more than a dozen protesters in a province northeast of Kabul after a rally. In the capital itself, organisers cancelled several protests after the country's new rulers warned that people would face severe legal action. Well, today is also the day on which many Afghans celebrate the life of Ahmed Shah Massoud, a fighter renowned for leading resistance against the Soviet invasion and then the first Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. But under the Taliban, as you can see, this poster of the man regarded as a national hero has now been defaced. There have also been reports of the Taliban beating protesters. These two journalists say they were detained while covering a demonstration on Wednesday, taken to a police station, they say, and accused of organising that protest. They claim they were hit repeatedly before being released. Well, I've been speaking to the BBC's South Asia correspondent, Yogita Lamai, and she started by giving me the latest on that first charter flight.
200 people, including US and other foreign nationals. The Taliban have said that when it came in from Doha, it was carrying relief material, and they've asked other countries around the world to send that as well. The Qatari special envoy said in a press conference at the Kabul airport today that the airport is fully up and running. They're also expecting one more similar flight to take off tomorrow as well, to be operated tomorrow as well. But there's still no clarity on when regular scheduled commercial flights will be able to land into Kabul airport and take off. And one of the key considerations for commercial airlines will be the security of the Kabul airport. And so far, what we've heard from Qatar is there are negotiations going on between them and the Taliban about who will be handling the security of the airport. But as of now, it doesn't seem to have been finalized. And that is one of the reasons why we're not yet seeing it properly open for commercial airlines. Obviously, great news for evacuations once that airport is properly open, but also for humanitarian aid coming in, which is much needed in Afghanistan right now.
Yes, of course, that too, an absolutely crucial strand of this story. Let's turn to the protests we've been seeing and the response from the Taliban. Bit by bit, they seem to be clamping down ever more severely.
That's right. Yesterday, they called the protests illegal and said they were instigated by people with malicious interests, people from outside Afghanistan, and they were being done with the intent of creating chaos. And they've effectively banned protests like these because they've said that demonstrators need to get permission from the Ministry of Justice. Then they need to tell security services, not just about where and when the protest will be held, but also what slogans will be raised and what banners will be displayed. But I've been speaking to women who've been out on the street more than once demanding their rights. They were at the protest in Kabul yesterday. Some of them were also out today. And they've been saying, whatever happens, even despite the risk that they're facing, and they told me that they were whipped and that they were beaten with batons. But despite that, they say we will continue going out. One woman said that I'll go again and again until I'm killed by the Taliban because it's better to die once than to die gradually. Their main concern is whether they will be able to go back to their jobs, because as of now, the Taliban have said they don't want women to work given the security situation.
Now, whilst that first charter flight left Kabul elsewhere, many Afghans trying to evacuate it are still stuck. An NGO which has been trying to evacuate dozens of young Afghan girls is the American charity Ascend. The group still has dozens of girls waiting near Mazar-e-Sharif's airport. The organization's founder and executive director, Marina Lugria, says there is a growing feeling of abandonment amongst them.
We've had no help from the US authorities, and that's exactly what I'm asking for, is for the US authorities and anyone else who has influence to lean on the Taliban via whomever they can to let these people go. We don't have paperwork, and the idea that young Hazara girls can get passports and visas and just exit the country, as the Taliban are saying now are the rules, that's absurd, and they won't be able to. If they don't get out on these flights, they will be trapped.
And tell me more, because you're, I know, in regular contact with these girls, with this group. Tell me what they are feeling and fearing as days go by and they still are stuck in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and I am in contact 24/7, including right now, because everyone's very aware that a flight just left Kabul and everyone's asking, are we next? We haven't heard a peep. We're not next as far as we know. And again, the idea that the Taliban are saying in some sort of reasonable way, as long as you have documentation, we'll let you go, that's not at all comforting to people who don't have that documentation. They aren't able to get passports, and we don't know what the rules of the game will be. These are young Hazara girls who probably will not be allowed to get passports and visas. So they're terrified. They don't feel that they can return home. They feel like they're dying a slow death already. And despair is starting to set in because, as I said, this is day 10. And they see that if they go back to Kabul, if they can even get home safely, because now we're hearing there are roadblocks coming into the city and people are being identified. They feel like they will be, it's a death sentence, basically. They're not allowed to work. The sports are not allowed, so Ascend can't do what it's always done. We have employees who are now not allowed to work. They're not allowed to study the things that they want to study. And they expect, again, ethnically targeted abuse as well. So it's not an optimistic moment.
You were saying you're in regular contact. They are aware that this first flight has got out of Kabul. Do you, as the organizer trying to actually make your flight happen, do you know who you're actually supposed to be communicating with now, given this development?
No, it's a bit confusing. I don't have direct contact with any government. We are waiting for instructions, basically. We were called forward as part of the State Department organized evacuations on August 30th. So then the 31st happened and policies shifted, and we've been sitting in limbo ever since.
And do you feel marooned?
Absolutely. And I'm terrified myself, because I'm the one that tells these girls, it's okay, get on the bus. You know, the US government is behind all of this and they'll see it through. And they're not seeing it through. They're saying, now we care about American citizens and green card holders, and sorry, Afghans, we can't look after you. And that is not okay. It's just a moral abdication of duty, and it can't, my government should not do that. And we're not talking a huge number of unknown people. We're talking small numbers of people for whom we submitted detailed information long ago. 12 days ago, we submitted their details for these manifests. So they can be vetted, they can be cleared, and it needs to be done now.
Latest there from Afghanistan. Now, the British government has authorised its border force to turn back small boats carrying migrants across the English Channel from France. It's a new approach authorised by the Home Secretary Priti Patel. The French are unhappy. The authorities describe the technique as dangerous. And the French Interior Minister said on Twitter that France will not accept any practice that breaks maritime law, nor any financial blackmail. Well, the Channel.
Hello, Vadim. Hello, Vadim.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How about yourself?
What is the weather in your town?
It's pretty cool, just around 15, 17 degrees.
The weather is rather comfortable for just walking, for example, for having a stroll and spending time outside. It's my point of view.
Okay, you might be correct. Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to have somebody else today?
Well, several people planned to come. I was expecting them to come, but they didn't show up. That can happen. That's not a problem. This is just my job.
Okay. It's nice, it's good. We have a distant way of learning, and I believe it's not it's not the best way. I feel it now. I can feel it now when it started, and when I'm waiting good quality of education, I can see that for many teachers, for many tutors, it may be difficult to explain everything distantly, and also they cannot show everything just using their laptop or computer. But it's not the problem of every tutor.
Yeah. I agree.
What measures do you do to not to get a cold? What is your plan? What is your habits? How to not get a cold? Get a flu?
Health days. I wouldn't say that I know. I just usually just knock on wood that I will pass it this season safely. I have no idea what can be done about that. It's just a piece of luck for me.
I have the same attitude. It has become rather easy for me to keep healthy and not to have a flu.
Yes.
It's just a lifestyle, just my lifestyle. That helps me.
Very good.
What is the news in France and UK?
Well, actually, nothing new. It's just everything just the same.
And Mm, Do you know what is the best platform mm, to hold video lessons to not to, what is the best platform to show video lessons to have live translations?
Well, I wouldn't say that I actually understand what you want to say, but anyway, well, for me, it doesn't matter. I can work with almost any platform, and I know pretty few of them, like, Zoom, then it's absolutely the same, like working with Skype, or, I know Scribbler, or I know Canvas. That's the blue button. But most of them, they are just paid. So that's the difference. That is why I've been using Zoom and Skype. Also, what is that? Teamwork or Teams, then Hangouts by Google. There are tons of them, very many.
I remember that once at your lesson, we was talking with Alina about how to sort what educational sources are the best. And the lesson was end. And that's why you didn't have an opportunity to end your answer. And it's interesting for me if you remember what did you want to say, what you wanted to say. It's interesting for me to hear. Maybe you remember something.
No, I don't remember, absolutely. Sorry about that.
I must say that we didn't hear almost nothing because it was only the start of your speech. And I didn't hear any advice from you about this topic. But okay, maybe if you remember something, you can share with me. Just I remember that you have a great desire to share this information, and you just said it with great desire. I remember your emotions about it.
Well, sorry, but I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. There was a tutor you was talking about, and I will say you his name. His name is. This is his name, Hugh Deller, and you mentioned him in that speech, and it was interesting for me to hear about somebody like him, or about the way how to choose educational sources in the internet. Don't you remember about it?
Well, when I mentioned Hugh Deller, yeah, it's and you're asking how I can, just how I learned about this guy. Well, actually, that's the way how we choose information. So just first of all, you have to forget about the internet, because the internet has nothing to do with selecting the information. Why? Because the internet is just a tool. You select the information according to the regular standards. And what are the regular standards? That's, for example, for me, it's Oxford University Press and Cambridge University Press. So during my whole life, I've been learning all of the stuff according to mostly to the books from these two resources. And so I mentioned about Hugh Deller, first of all, that he is the author of the world famous textbooks. And one of these textbooks, the title of this textbook is the kind of a series of books, which is called Outcomes. But at the same time, he's got many other books, which I do not remember just it's right now. But you can go to Oxford University Press and Cambridge University Press and check Hugh Deller, and you will see, you'll find the books. And any other author which you are interested in, just check with Oxford University Press and Cambridge University Press, and then you will choose. They have many, many authors, and that will be possible for you to choose the author which you like. That's it, in my opinion.
Thanks for sharing with me. I will write it down so that remember. Okay, we can continue. I must say that now my mind is absolutely clear, and there are no thoughts at all. It's so interesting that I can not to think about something. I feel this. I haven't feel it ever. Maybe it has been only once, but it's an interesting moment. Let's see.
Yeah, first of all, you know that's again about the sound which is coming from you. Just listen to it. It's real hard to understand what you're saying, but anyway, just listen to it.
I haven't feel it ever. Maybe it has been only once, but it's an interesting moment. Let's see.
First of all, you know that.
I see. I just close my mind with my hands, and I didn't notice that I'm doing it. I was doing it.
Oh, it's real hard to understand what you're saying.
I can repeat. I just closed my mouth with my hands, and I didn't notice that I was doing it. It's my mistake.
All right. So what was the question?
It was just my emotions. I said that I said my emotions, but there wasn't any question.
Okay.
There wasn't a question.
All right.
Vladimir, I opened the website Oxford University Press, and I can't understand what to find and how to find, because maybe I don't understand the reason. I can't say the reason, but I'm searching for Oxford Press. I'm searching for press at Oxford University Press page, and there is no one. It seems to me. I can see that there are dictionaries, English language teaching, education, academic and professional, journals, higher education. Oh, I see. Okay, I have found. Thanks. There are many disciplines like engineering, bioscience, chemistry, classical studies, mathematics. But where is computer science, for example? Media. Is engineering connected with computer science? Don't you know? Vladimir, can I ask you about sources about videos on YouTube? For example, I shared with you a channel that is called freecamp.org, and my point of view is that it is about just starting the way and in one of the programming languages, for example, or starting the way in using an application. And if I want to become more advanced one, I should study in other resources, using other sources. It's my point of view. And is it equal to you? Is it the same like your one?
Well, I wouldn't say that I understand your question again. What is your question?
I thought that the video on YouTube is just for beginning, And is it the same? Is this point of view the same as your? What do you think?
Really, I do not understand.
Do you think that videos on YouTube about programming, like the channel freecamp.org, it is the name of the channel, just for beginners. Do you think that these videos on this channel are just for beginners?
Well, I actually do not remember the channel because, you know, I have to have a real good memory. Well, as I said previously about the books by Oxford University Press, Cambridge University Press, they are several websites, or let's say several publishing houses, which are, for me, which are reliable, like kind of a standard of good quality. So that's the same about anything. And again, you don't need to think of the internet. The internet is just tool. What is a tool? Just scissors, you know, when you want to cut paper, you take scissors. So that's the internet. The internet is just a tool. The quality, the standard of anything is just what the quality or standard is for everyday life. When you ask about the coding languages, like the programming languages, well, first of all, you need to keep in mind that what is the name of the language you want to learn. It might be, you know, just to take a few, it might be C or C++ or Java or JavaScript or Python, or, you know, there are many languages, and some people say that around 1,000 languages, programming languages. So let's say if you think of Python, then you have to think of the creator of Python. It's Guido van Ransom. I have forgotten his last name. So you have to go and check this guy. He's got all kind of videos, or he's got the manual, the documentation about Python. It was written by the author, by the creator. You just go and read, and it's in a very easy, in a very simple language. Everything is being explained there. So that's how we work with anything. Just think about the quality resource, and that's it.
But for programmers, it's very important to have to know, and it's more essential, it's more valuable to create math algorithms that will be used in tasks, that will be used to solve tasks. And as for them, it's not possible to find somebody who will share them.
Why? No, you're not correct. It's just, as I said, just open the JavaScript manual and you will see that the second lesson or the second class will be the so-called Hello World application. Mostly in every manual of programming languages, you will see this Hello World application. That's the easiest application you can think of. Like, for example, in, as I said, this manual of JavaScript, it will be the second class, and the application will be converting the Celsius into Fahrenheit, how to write the coding for this application, and you will do it. Anybody can do it. I can do that.
Yes.
So,
I was talking about math algorithms. It's algorithms
you
that
do not listen. You do not listen to me at all. I have to repeat everything just from the very beginning till the very end. So, okay, just go to JavaScript manual and you will see that all of the mathematics algorithm, like you say, for the easiest applications will start with the second lesson, with the second class.
I understand. Thanks. Okay, I understand.
And this concerns every programming language. Every programming language, the creator, the author, like I said, Guido van Rossum, they will explain you from the very beginning till the most complicated stuff. Everything is for free. You just need to, first of all, you need to learn, you need to study. First of all, you need to learn the English language in the way how these people talk. You have to understand their speech, because this is the real English. This is not the English of exams. That's the English of programmers, people who create stuff. So that's very different. It will take you a lot of time to learn this language, but otherwise it's no way to learn something.
It seems to me that even Yandex Translator will be unuseful when we try to understand the language of programmers.
No, the language is very easy, but that everybody can understand their language. But the problem is that this language is just very different from the language of the exams. They do not speak the language which you learned for the Russian national exam. They speak the real life language. That's the problem. But their language is very easy. Absolutely very easy. It's just the language of like people speak in Russian, the language of the native speakers. And of course, they have lots of terminology which you have to learn, like what I can think of now. For example, you have to understand the stuff like Unix shell script or Windows batch files. You have to understand the, the basics. I mean, the English terminology, not translated into Russian, because you cannot translate, for example, the shell script. You cannot translate that into Russian. Or the batch files. You cannot translate it. You have to understand that in English. And if you want to understand that, you have to learn, you have to study.
It's hard work that I've started to do. I started to learn mathematical definitions in English, and maybe it's my mistake that I wrote in my dictionary, in my paper dictionary, them translated into Russian language, but but I did it. I've already did it.
Well, it will give you nothing. The translation from the English language into the Russian language, because if you think, for example, I gave this example many times. Just if you look at your laptop you will see that down there, where you can see lots of icons in one row at the bottom of your screen of the laptop. So how do we call it in English? In English, it is called tray. If you just go to the dictionary and if you translate it, you will see that tray is, the translation is podnos. But if you think about the Russian word for that, it will be системная область задач or something like that. So it's absolutely senseless. It's meaningless to translate because it doesn't translate. Why? Because as I said, the people who created languages, programming languages, they never think like системная область задач. They never think it. They just look and they create what it looks like. It looks like a tray. It looks like a podnos. So that is why they call it a tray. And then some people want to translate, like you say, and when you translate that, it's totally crazy. It doesn't match. And so that is why you cannot work with the Russian terminology in the English programming language. It will never work. You have to learn the English terminology, but not the Russian. And you do not have to translate. You have to understand the English language. You have to know the word, for example, you have to know the word tray, what it means. Or you have to understand the word batch. Or you have to understand what is a shell script. You have to understand that. You have to understand, for example, for programming languages, what is compilation or what is linking. So that's kind of the terminology is taken from the real language, from the real life English language. But nobody teaches you this kind of language. Like nobody teaches you the words like compilation or batch. It's just it's the language of real life. It's not the language of the exams. Just for exams, you learn the language which gives you the chance to pass the exam successfully. But that doesn't mean that you know the English language. That means that you know how to take and how to pass successfully the exam. That's it. I did lots of exams in my life, and some of them I failed, and some of them I was successful, but it means nothing. It's just, you know, I can tell you that I took many exams. That's it. And I know what the exams are. The exams are, it's a kind of a game that people play this game, and after this game, they say, hey, your grade for this exam is, let's say, that and that. That means nothing. That means that you successfully passed the exam, and that's it.
It seems to me that it's easy to remember the meaning of not only words, but some definitions when you see them and hear them and work with them for many times.
Well,
for many times.
You know, again, if you just think about real life people, believe me that the Guido van Rossum, he is from the Netherlands. He is from Holland. What we use right now, they do not call it this country Holland. He's from the Netherlands. So that means that English is not his native language. His native language is Dutch, but he speaks American English because everybody who is in programming is supposed to speak American English. And so that is why he uses all of this terminology, not because of the definition. No, it just, you know, if you have a look at this stuff, you know, if I can show it to you, I don't know. Yeah. So if you have a look at it, so it is called a pen. But if you think about the definition of the pen, you know that you will tell me that this is a device for keeping ink in a long thin tube for writing and so on. Why, how it will help you, this definition, to understand the language of programming? When they say that this is just a pen, that's it, no definition, it's a pen. Well, you know, when you think about pelmeni in Russian, you do not think about the definition, that the pelmeni is some kind of a cut or, you know, pieces of meat covered with the dough. You never think about that. You never think about the definition.
And I meant the same. I just meant that when we see words and when we meet them in our real life for many times, they are remembered in an easy way. And I meant this.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I understand what he's saying.
You can see the objects, we can see not only objects.
The biggest problem with people who just want to learn English is that you have to keep in mind that, for example, just look around you. I can ask you several easiest questions, which, you know, every native speaker will tell you immediately, because as a native Russian speaker, you will immediately tell me, for example, I'm looking at подоконник. How can you say подоконник in English? Can you? You see, that's the easiest term, which you don't need for the exam. You don't need it. This word is not on the list for taking the exam, but everybody knows this word. In the Russian language, you know this word. I can give you lots of examples. Okay, just have a look. How do you say потолок?
Ceiling.
Okay, very good. So, but many people do not know it. I'm trying to find your level, because, you know, I gave you the word подоконник. It was hard, and I'm trying to make it easier for you. So I said about потолок. Then, you know, as I said, for example, you as a Russian speaker, you know the word пельмени. How to say that in English?
No thoughts.
Yeah, I know. So that's this is the problem. Like, it's the language which is around you. And so that's why, you know, that the programmers, they will call it like the easiest terminology, that this is поднос, you know. And then some people will translate it like системная область задач. And you know, it's kind of a, what is that? It's a поднос. So you have to learn the words like поднос, like подоконник. The words which are just very simple, very easy, basic English words, which are around you, everywhere. I'm not talking about, like, for example, talking about the window, how to say щеколда, задвижка. It's just the vocabulary which is being used everywhere, every moment. As a Russian native speaker, you know that. That's the basic vocabulary which we need to know if you want to understand something. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's
But
about time. Yep. Yep.
Can I ask you about the system of making of the system is about writing how to call each object in your home, how to write how to call it in English.
Well,
And to write it.
it's not about the objects in your home. You know, it's for example, you go and see a look at your car. So you have to know, for example, поддон картера. If you look at your car, you have to know how to say that, because you want to repair the car. Or you know, much easier, something like датчик давления. Or you know, you go outside in the street and you see круговая развязка. So you just have to understand that if you don't want to talk about the car, you can think about chemistry stuff, like you know, in chemistry, you have to understand how to say the the easiest chemical equations, or physics, you know, or medicine. When you are sick, you have to explain everything, like я растянул сухожилие. Because you know that when you speak your native language, it's so natural when you say я растянул сухожилие. But when you think about that in English, it's, you don't know. And more and more to that. So that's it's totally different approach. It's just like learning. That's it.
Learning continuously and for a long time.
Well, you know, that those are just what you said. It's just words. That's I wouldn't say that they have a lot of meaning, because you know, if you just do something continuously without any end, probably you will never finish, and probably you will never learn the programming language. So learning is like. Again, you didn't tell me from the very beginning which language, which programming language you want to learn. Is it C or C++ or Python, or which language you want to learn?
Personally, my aim now is to learn C++.
Okay, then you just go and find the manual for C++. Start from the very beginning. That's it.
I have found it, but I've studied it. I've already studied it on a website created not by creators, not by designers, surely, but all in all, it helped me to start, because I found information.
That's not correct. This is not correct. You asked me how to start, and I told you you need to start with the creators. With the creators and their websites, with their manuals and so on. Do not do anything else. Do not just read the books, or you know, the stuff which other people tried to interpret for you. Because as I said, when somebody is interpreting for you, the meaning is поднос and системная область задач. It doesn't match at all. It doesn't work. You have to do it yourself. You have to meet the originator. You have to meet the creator with your, just as you are, and just to get to know this person. because then you will understand his feelings, his emotions, his vocabulary, why he used those words and so on. Otherwise, all other people, they will just give you something very far from the truth. And again, what you're asking is the stuff which you need to learn during the regular classes. It's not the kind of a conversational club topic. No, conversational club is just you are supposed to prepare the big question for discussion, and then we discuss. What you're asking is the system of education, taking classes.
Some people have an opinion that about math, that math is the same and it can be just interpreted in different languages like English, French, German, Russian. And what do you think about math? Is it necessary to learn math in English, to study math?
That's interesting. Okay, if it's just the same if you ask me, Vladimir, is it necessary to study medicine, or is it necessary to study history? I don't know. If you need it, just study.
Mm-hmm.
I have no
But
idea what is necessary. Is mathematics necessary for you to study? Is it necessary?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, then go ahead and study.
And the language is not important in this science like math.
Well, you know that it depends on what you are talking about. For example, if you think about the origins of the calculus, so then you know there are several names which are world famous. So you have to go and check these names, and you have to go and read the books of the creators. Then, of course, you will learn lots about calculus.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, if you think of mathematics, which was created in Russia by the Russian scientists, that's the good idea will be to read this part of mathematics in Russian. Why I'm talking about coding? Because you know and I know that most of these languages were created by the people who speak English. So that is why you have to read it in English, because the translation is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's clear. Thank you, Vladimir.
Yeah, that's it. We're done. It's more than 40 minutes. I think that this is enough for today. So thank you for joining me. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. It's enough for today.
Yeah. So hopefully I will see you next time. And goodbye for now.
Goodbye.